Filmmaker John Sayles has been making humanist movies since 1979, when he self-financed The Return of the Secaucus 7. Sayles is 69 in 2019, and he hit the business in the 1970s alongside a wave of boomers with similar values.
Somehow, I've been able to make my own definitions of what success is. And so I've never had that much pressure on me.
What distinguishes Sayles from his colleagues is simple. He's a novelist. His movies indicate the influence of Faulkner and Steinbeck over Bresson and Godard. Sayles is also well known for punching up big studio pictures such as Apollo 13 and Mimic. Perhaps the more proper use of the term punching up in this case is directional. Sayles has the common person, the burdened ones, in mind.
And I think the other thing, and I think you would agree with this, that runs through all of your films is that you feel a genuine affection for those characters. And what happens more and more in modern cinema is that it's about people, that it's not only that the audience don't care about, you don't think the filmmaker cares about them either.
His filmic mission has been to identify the put upon and tell their stories. He gives his characters the strength to punch upwards. I love John Sayles. He's a goddamn American treasure, unsung in his time. The humanity of his films doesn't sell anymore, if it ever did, so he doesn't get a dime from studios to work his intimate brand of storytelling.
I made a decision early on, I wasn't going to be an employee as a director. And that means sometimes you don't make a movie for a couple years or whatever.
I'm setting out to do a brief digest of his work to spotlight his noble aims, but his 18-film oeuvre is a bitch to slim down. His work features many interweaving themes: the redemptive value of hard work, fidelity, honor, and honesty among them.
All the things that I've written is more about not what's exotic about people of any different kind of race, sex, class, age, but what's in common with them.
I chose The Brother from Another Planet, Mate One, and Lone Star to serve as three examples of his most salient themes. Also, I picked them because they're actually ready to watch. Like fellow humanist director Claire Denis, Sayles has the problem of not being comprehensively available on Blu-ray or streaming, which is a fucking disgrace. If anybody deserves a corner of Criterion, it's this guy, because Secaucus 7 and Baby It's You were nearly impossible to find. Emboldened by a MacArthur Genius Grant, Sayles wrote an inventive sci-fi rumination on race, The Brother from Another Planet.
There is a fantastic element to it, but there is a core of realism, and that the fantasy, in a way, is a way into the realism.
It's Nick Rogue fused with Melvin Van Peebles, anchored by a soulful, wordless performance from the great Joe Morton as an escaped slave spaceman who really resembles an African-American man. To anchor the look of shooting in New York City for the first time, Sayles enlisted Spike Lee's noted photographer Ernest Dickerson to run the camera on this. The movie looks great, and Morton is dynamic in every frame.
The actor who I've let ad-lib the most was Joe Morton in Brother from Another Planet, but he didn't have any lines.
The director got a chance to look at the Harlem of the 80s through an invisible man's eyes, Ellison pun intended, and his vision is solemn yet funnier than you'd expect.
Where you from, bro? Uptown? South Bronx? Man from South Bronx. They all crazy up there.
The brother is chased by men in black, Sayles himself and stock company member David Strathairn. He may fall down and get kicked by the man, but the brother never stays down. He evades his Caucasian hunters and joins up in the final frame with other freed aliens of his kind, who live hidden among us in polyglot skin. The Brother is about alienation. It's a ballsy move for a white filmmaker to use a black character to tell this story, but Sayles has the canny empathy it takes to make it work.
One of them is about community and how we define it. You know, is it geographical anymore, or is it a community of spirit?
The brother is literally a slave running from captors, but he can't catch a break in New York City. A black man who can't fit in amongst other black people. In the end, Sayles is asking, who belongs here anyway? Sayles is an exorcist with Mate One, litigating the turpitude of the Baldwin Felts Detective Agency and the robber baron coal masters of West Virginia, instigators of a little-known 1920 event called the Mate One Massacre. The director's heart is with the penurious folk of Appalachia, who faced either death in the mines or death from disobedience.
They don't give a damn whether we live or die, just so long as they get their coal out of the ground.
Sayles cast rookie actor Chris Cooper to play the charismatic and tragic labor leader Joe Kenahan, bringing the message of collectivization to the sooty faces working the black seam.
All of you union men, let's welcome our new brothers.
Sayles even plays a small role himself here as hard-shell preacher, ironically against type.
His name is Bolshevist, Socialist, Communist, Union Man!
Cooper's Union Man implores the Italians, African Americans, and Appalachian locals to strike, at great risk to their safety, and all three blocks bivouac outside the town in a hollow, holding firm in privation until their demands are met. Imported Baldwin Felts gunmen flood the town to break labor's back.
You fellas have any idea what's waiting for us? You mean they didn't tell you?
And they shoot it out with David Strathairn's real-life sheriff, Sid Hatfield. Yeah, of those Hatfields.
The massacre at the time was one of the few times that the coal miners actually won one of these armed engagements. If you can say a massacre is ever winning anything.
Joe Kenahan is dead, a martyr for the cause. Baldwin Felts takes some scalps, but collectivized labor eventually wins the war. Or does it?
Right now, certainly the conservative Republican agenda is to undo the New Deal.
Many call Lone Star's Sayles' career masterpiece. He finds the perfect balance of performance, plot, and characterization with Chris Cooper again as Sam Deeds, a mild-mannered sheriff living in the shadow of his late legendary blood and guts father, Buddy.
Well, how about this, Charlie? How about you lay that shield on this table and vanish before you end up dead or in jail?
While rekindling a forbidden flame with Elizabeth Pena's character, Pilar. And that legend of the elder Deeds is what Sayles is scrutinizing. Napoleon is credited with the quote, "History is the set of lies agreed upon." And this border town has been living in the folk narrative in which elder Deeds gets credit for running off Chris Christopherson's psychopath sheriff in 1958. Sam Deeds finds evidence that the past didn't quite happen as written, but no one who's there wants that truth to shudder back to life. The scene where he drills returning Sayles regular Clifton James about that night in '58 is an elegy for the canard they've all maintained for years. James's deputy couldn't handle the responsibility of being Christopherson's killer, an act which Lord attributes to Buddy Deeds. Regardless, Sam Deeds does what he thinks to be right, and he makes gray what was once black and white.
People are gonna think Buddy done it.
Buddy's a goddamn legend. He can handle it.
But he's snake-bitten. It's also revealed that his father sired Pena's character via an indiscretion. They're half-siblings. She agrees to go on as if nothing had changed.
All that other stuff, all that history, forget the Alamo.
To John Sayles, history lurks just beyond the threshold of visibility.
What do we do with history? What does history mean to individuals, whether it's racial history, ethnic history, country history? When do you say, okay, yeah, that was then, this is now, I start from scratch, or is that possible?
His characters are reacting to the past, either adhering to it or escaping its gravity.
Well, yeah, but you call it history, I call it propaganda.
The hemmed-in son, Sam Deeds, is able to knock down father Buddy a peg, and in so doing makes a life for himself outside the shadow. I will conclude this with a neat bow in the form of Bruce! John Sayles was summoned by Springsteen to shoot some videos as part of the media deluge for the 1984 Born in the USA album.
He was ready to make some videos, and we knew some people in common, and we had used some of his music in Baby It's You, so it was kind of, he put out feelers to see if we were interested.
Sayles got 3 songs to work with: Glory Days, I'm on Fire, and Born in the USA. I ask you, is there a cultural figure from the last century who better represents the value of community, history, hard work, and sticking it to the man? Springsteen is a living Sayles text, for Christ's sakes.
The finest in men's neckwear since 1982.